Okay, today I'm going to show you how to use your Samsung phone in order for you to edit your photos like a pro. So here's some basic tips when using your Samsung phone. So what you're going to do is, of course, if you need to find your photo app, your gallery is what it's called, you can, of course, swipe up on the phone, and then you can actually go to the gallery. You can probably see it where the little flower is on a Samsung phone. And so you can tap that, of course. Or another way to do it is, it's better if you make sure that your Samsung phone has your Samsung photo app there right on top of that. I could just exit it out of my screen here. Right where you would put next to your camera on your phone here in the toolbar. And that allows you to, when you take a picture, you automatically have it right there in the toolbar ready for you to use to take a look at the photo that you took or a video you took. And so highly recommend you put your gallery right there next to your photo app. And typically most people automatically have the photo app in the toolbar. I also like to have it all the way on the right where the photo, just the camera is. That way it's easier to find right where I need it, right with the flick of a thumb. And that way also it allows you to then take a look at what you have next to it right away. In what you're looking for. So make sure you think about how to do that. If you want to do that, you would actually take the gallery app, you would tap and hold it in the gallery, and you would drag it down into your toolbar just like this. Okay, and so that's how that works. So I'm going to remove that there, just off the screen, and it's in the toolbar. So we're going to go to our gallery app, and we're going to find a photo that we may want to edit. And so here's a fun photo of Pam Bondi, and of course, talking about what's going on using a Men in Black meme with a neuralizer. What list? Hilarious. So if you're going to actually start to edit a photo, you have to know some of the basic functions of how to use your Samsung phone in a way that helps you do this process in a more streamlined fashion. So it's a really easy, and you can create some really amazing stuff. So let's start off with first, let's do some basic photo editing. So let's say that you had either grabbed this photo off of a screenshot on your phone, or let's say that it had been shared around, something had been shared around, and it had some things around it on the edges. So what we want to do is just basically crop out anything that's not what we're looking for, right? And just only get to that part of the photo, right? So here's what we're going to want to do. We swipe up. And actually, I'm sorry, you tap right here, and you tap towards the base of the phone, the little icon right there, which allows you to crop the photo. And so then you take the edges where these little triangle pieces are, corner pieces, and you drag that into the shape. Now, what's really nice is that this phone app gives you options as you drag that kind of shows you what ratio the photo is. That's a 1:1 photo ratio. That's a 4:5 photo ratio. And then if you keep dragging, you'll 5:7. And if you continue to edit, 9:16. 9:16 is the photo ratio of typical videos in a vertical format. And then the full ratio of your phone also is an option. So what you're going to want to do is, if you want to find the shape, the specific shape you want to edit in, whether it's square, kind of Instagram size, a little larger than that, or Facebook also does that, horizontal, where it's more photo style, which is called 4:3 is the ratio, or 16:9, which is a full horizontal or vertical cropping, you're going to want to click this little button right here. See if I can get to zoom in on it. Right there. So that right there is the button that allows you to choose what kind of size you want the crop to be. And so we're going to click on that. And then you can see here that this gives you a wide range of options. It gives you from the original size of the frame, which is really nice. Get back to that. You can see it gives you options of original. It gives you other options of custom, wallpaper, and that's the full size of the phone. That's what you're seeing here on the screen, which is the entire size of the phone itself. That's what wallpaper is. 1:1 is square, 3:4, and you can continue to scroll as well and give you additional options. Okay, so here is what we're going to want to do. So let me actually get on my zoom mode here, and so you can see the full range of options that you're given. And you can also see the two different layouts, whether it's going to crop horizontally like that, or if it's going to crop vertically like that. It's just changing how the crop goes, right? So what we're going to want to do is choose, this one is a square format. So we want to pick the format that is actually a square. And so that's 1:1 ratio is a square. So we just select that square. And then obviously you can see that the current arrangement is not quite right. I actually tapped the straighten. So there is options to move the photo. So if you had someone take a photo and it was crooked in the way they took it, this little straighten, when you go to the crop section here, the crop app, the straighten section allows you to then tilt the photo in the direction that you need. And of course, if it's properly taken, which is just a screenshot, it's going to be 0, right? Which you can also just tap that button to return it to 0. Okay, and so then you can go and crop in on the photo that you want, where you want it. And you want to pay attention that the edges of the crop are kind of consistent, as consistent as you can make it with the crop that you have. Okay, so there's a little bit of a white space there, so I want to avoid that. And I want to make sure that the crop is close to the center as I can do. Maybe a little more. There we go. So that looks right. So then you can do two options. Number one, you can just click save and it will override your larger screenshot and immediately just crop it to this and save it that way. Or if you want to save your original full-size screenshot and make a copy so that it's the copy is a square, you can go up and tap the 3 buttons up here in the corner, right? And those 3 buttons will allow you to then, right here, you can tap and click save copy. And then that will save a copy. And it will also prompt you of this here. And I highly recommend anytime it prompts you to do this, most of the time you are going to want to select improve the make the resolution better, because what that does is it actually increases the size of the photo itself. So this is now 2164 by 2164 resolution pixels. That's per square inch, right? So that is a high res photo or screenshot in this case. And so the original photo, which I can show you here, was only 500 by 500. And so when that gets scaled to a large screen, whether it's a computer screen or on a projector, it gets really blurry and pixely if it's that small of a resolution. And so that's what you can do to improve the scale or size of your photos, is use that feature. There's also a way to do this manually, and that would be where you would actually swipe up on any photo that you've selected, like that, and it gives you options right here at the top that you can select from, and one of which is right here on the side, which is remaster. And you select that, and what it does is actually make the photo, it actually enhances the visualization of the photo using AI, and it'll give you a compare and contrast, as well as it does a good job at trying to match appropriately adjust the lighting as well at the same time. And so you can see there's a marked difference between this. This one's a little darker, definitely lower res, and then this one's much brighter. Now, it might be tricky to see on the screen. You can see a difference on the screen there. So it really depends on that. So sometimes you'll want to check to see, making sure that it doesn't over analyze your photo, because sometimes it'll do that. And then you can just tap the save button right here at the bottom. Right here at the bottom of the screen. And then that will save your photo. Okay? And so that is how you use that feature in order to enhance the size of the photo. Look, now this photo is now 2164 by 2164, just like the other one that we did when we saved it from the original crop. So now both of these photos are the same size. You can see though that one has been enhanced a little bit more than the other one has, because the manual enhance does a little bit better a job at that. Okay, so now there's another really neat feature that you have options to when you swipe up on a photo. Here's another one. It's called background blur. Now this background is pretty blurred already based on what the professional photo is, of course, a screenshot originally of the Men in Black movie. But what you can do is you can click that background blur and it will add a background blur. You've seen photos where the foreground, the person in the foreground is in the shot nice and clear, but any of their background may be blurry. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to that, but this is one of those things that you can manually do that with the phone. The AI will actually apply a blur to your background, making this background even more blurred. Now this is going to be difficult to tell because of the way in which the photo is already done. But you can see there and now there, quite a difference in blur. Okay, so that is a really helpful feature to make your photos stand out, and it becomes really significant when you actually take a photo of yourself. I'm actually going to do that here. And so you would click save or save a copy by clicking those three buttons up at the top so that you don't override it and have the original photo as well. So I'm going to take a little screenshot of me, and you can see what my background looks like without this going on here. Let me take the zoom feature off here. There we go. And flip the camera. It's going to be crazy. So you can see that there's quite a color difference with what I've got going on here. So let's see. I'm going to take a photo of myself right now. It's in the normal photo mode. Okay. A little selfie. Now we're going to go back to that photo, okay? So we're going to go back into this app. You can see there's my background. You can see the door of my closet. Not that interesting, right? So then you can you can swipe up like this, and then you can click background blur. And by the way, you wouldn't need to do remaster on a photo that you just took because it's high resolution already. Now you can quite see, okay, there's no background blur. Can you see that in my background here? And now look at that. So I'm gonna click the top button, save a copy. So I have the original copy so I can show you before and after. So that's before and that's after. Before, after. Really nice difference there in the quality of that shot. Now again, just like that shot has, there's a lot of different things, other options you can do. You can try to erase shadows if you wanted, which would bring better highlights. But I'm just going to click live effect right there. And what this will do is kind of a fun little, it makes basically a little video of yourself, and it kind of looks like you're panning into yourself. So, and then it kind of pans out. Now it depends on the type of cut of the video. It can make you look like there's a slow cam pivot, but it's a photo. So it's a really nice little effect that you can make and save it as a file. You can save a copy, and then you'll have that as something you could post. It makes it a little more different, gives it a little more different feel when you're going to post something. So that's super, super nice. Okay, so those are a couple differences there. Let's edit the color of my photo here. So let's go to the pencil icon to edit. So you can see where that was. Pencil icon. Okay, and then we are going to tap the middle section right here. Now this is manually adjusting all the different sides, right? So one thing that I try to do, I've been messing around with to see if it works, and it generally does, I just have to adjust it a little bit, is clicking the auto section right here. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Come on, work with me here. There we go. The auto button right there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to click that and see what it does. Now, it gave me a lot of brightness. You can see what whatever it applied the edits, the auto edits. You can see right there where all the yellow dots are, and yours might be a different color because I've manually adjusted some of my layout for my colors. But the dots there on the screen are the ones that auto applied, all the auto changed. So it only changed contrast, exposure, and brightness for automatic. And I think as I'm looking at this, I look a little what's called overexposed. So I'm going to take my exposure down a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to leave it to where it kind of was, because the phones typically do a good job with exposure when you're in some form of light. If you're in a darker room, maybe you have to actually mess with the exposure manually. But typically, it does a fairly good job capturing that. Now, contrast, I like that it improved the contrast. I don't know, it's hard to tell from it depends on the colors of the screens, but I might want a little more, maybe saturation a bit. Give myself a little more color and some temperature, which gives me, so if you really crank it, you increase the warmth or coolness of the photo, right? Now, of course, you can mess around with it being dramatic, but I'm going to just mess with it just a little bit just to improve it. Again, my photo was already fairly good, so I didn't have to mess with anything too much. And then if I just, you can increase the tint, or the if it gives you a little more red or a little more green in the photo, or pinkish, you can increase the shadows to make it a little more dramatic looking, right? So these are all the manual adjustments that you can make. Light balance does a pretty interesting job of bringing up the light in the room so you have more light. I'm obviously editing the one that's unblurred. And so that's some really basic features for doing a photo edit. So I'm going to click save a copy. That's going up to those top 3 little dots and clicking save a copy. You can see I do this regularly so that I still have the photos that I want. So if I want to really mess with them, I can. I don't have to necessarily go back or override it and reset it. Okay. So I'm going to take this one that I haven't edited yet. I'm going to have it do an auto again. Actually, I'm going to have it do this. The second one with the 3 little circles on the screen right there, that is a filter. And so when you tap that, that allows you to select from different filters that are available on the phone itself. So this one is the auto filter, where it applies based on what it thinks. It typically does a good job, but it does tend to over apply some of the filters. And so it depends on the kind of look that you want to go for. Sometimes over applying a filter is a part of the dramatic look. And of course, there are other ones that you can apply, and you can mess individually with the strength and how they actually kind of lay themselves out on your photo. All the different filters that allow you to have just like different look with your presentation of your content. And it has 2 preset black and white versions called monochrome versions, and you can download, you can see right here, you can download more options if you'd like to mess with that for yourself. So that is some of the options there for in terms of basic photo editing for color. Cropping as well, you get some basic cropping there. I mentioned some of the straightening things you can do. You can kind of, again, make some more fun things, a little more dramatic of a shot, depends on how you want to lay it out. So you can crop yourself in. And again, I'm going to use the original crop here because I like this original crop. I'm going to bring it in a little bit so it doesn't have my arm in there, like so. There we go. And I like that crop. So I'm going to save a copy of that. That's super nice. I like that. So you can see some really neat basic stuff that your phone can do to really give your photos a professional look to them very quickly. And it's all on your Samsung phone using the gallery app, the built-in gallery app that's already a part of your phone. So by the way, anytime you do a crop, you got to make sure, if you do a really crop in, make sure that resolution is at least 1920 by 1080. If it's not close to that, you can always do the remaster option to bring it up to that higher grade. If it's a little below, if it's at least it's in the thousands between the two, that'll give you an quality enough shot where if you put it on a larger screen, it'll be fine. But the moment you print it, if you want to use it in any kind of digital stuff that scales up, a video, things like that, you'll want to raise that resolution again, like we showed earlier. Okay, so those are some basic editing features as well. So if you're wanting to use something like this, where this is a screenshot off of a live stream, off of probably another screenshot, you can see the difference in the way this photo looks. Obviously, you know what's going on with this photo. If you've been on the internet for any length of time in the last month, or I should say in the last week, you know what's going on here. Again, because of the way this photo is formatted, I actually want to crop it square. And I think I want to center them, unless I was putting copy, like some sort of copy over here in the corner. I actually want to kind of center this up a bit, just to give it a little bit of, there we go. And then you can see that they're already brought up. Someone tried to bring up the color previously in that stream. And of course, they're more tanner individuals as well, corporate individuals who use the tanning rooms, I'm sure. So the auto edit didn't really do a nice job with that. So I'm going to select that off again. I'm going to mess with it manually, right? So a couple things we can already see, it's kind of red. It's already kind of red. So what I could do is go to saturation or to tint and see if I can mess with those and bring it down. That looks a little better already. And tint, I don't need to mess with tint, okay? And temperature, maybe a little bit. Let's do like 5. Okay, so I already did a little bit of getting some of the redness out, right? But then I can also increase the shadow. You can see that's going to help a little bit, but another way to increase the shadow is the contrast. So we're going to increase the contrast a little bit, not much, because you can see it's going to bring out too much highlights. Now you can try to mess with the highlights, but typically I've noticed it's good to go up to mess with highlights, to increase highlights, but trying to pull it down mutes it weird and it doesn't quite give it a natural look. So I usually don't use highlights to go down most of the time for most photos. So I'm going to increase the shadows a little bit there. And again, it's already a difficult photo. There we go. This is the light balance. Bring the light balance down just a little bit there. Brightness down. Give it a little, you can see more of a background now. In exposure, I can bring the exposure down. And let's see, I can bring, I think that's a little too much. Let's see if I can bring the shadows up. Now I want to keep the shadows right there. This is actually a really good example because oftentimes we'll get a screenshot of a live stream that wasn't always already fully dialed in the shot. So this is actually a great example. I don't use the sharpness or definition much. You can see it increases like the sharpness, but sometimes overly sharp photos just don't look right. Definition doesn't really help typically in what I've noticed in the things that I'm doing. So you can see that toggling it on and off makes quite a difference there. Brightness there, exposure, contrast, shadows, saturation. Okay, so that is a little better than the contrast that we've had before. So I'm going to save a copy and we can show that. And again, this is going to ask you to do an image resolution increase. Definitely take a look at that when you do it. Make sure you're saving it from the previous photo so that you can go back if you don't like what it manually does to it, because sometimes that happens. So let's take a look. Let's see what this does. This 31 by, that's nice and colored there. And let's see, let's put those. This is another cool little feature, is if you tap in when you're in the full screen of seeing all of your photos in your camera roll, you can kind of tap one photo to select it, tap and hold. And then you can tap and hold. I'm going to increase this a little bit so it's easier to see. Tap and hold one, and then you can actually tap the next one. And then you have this little button here down at the below that allows you to actually create something. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, and I'm going to tap 3 times to show you. There is that create button right there. You can click that. You can create a GIF, which is if kind of moves around the photos, or if it's a video, just kind of repeats it on loop, a small loop, and creates a video of that. You can do a collage, or you can do a movie. So I'm going to do a collage, which is really, really nice. And then you take and you can edit, once again, the ratio. We're going to go a square ratio. Actually, you know what? Because of the way the layouts are, I'm actually going to go with a 9/16. And then I'm going to select the layout here, and we can stack it this direction, right? And then it's got this border that it applied to it right here. You can see the border. I'm going to take that border off. You can put it back on like that. You can also make the photos round on the sides, round off the corners there a bit, which is kind of interesting. Different looks for different things. And then you can, of course, increase the blur or color as well in this, which is interesting little things that you have options to do. But right now we're just going to lay with that. I'm going to adjust. You can tap into one of the stacks and you can move the photo around based on what you can do with it. You can also pinch to zoom if you wanted. So I'm actually going to pinch to zoom in a while because I want to match the photo I edited just a little bit, close to it anyway. That's close. So you can now see the difference. I'm going to save that. This one, you don't have the option of saving a copy. It'll all, basically, while you're doing this, is saving its own copy, right? So then you tap the back arrow to get back to your album. And now you can actually see the difference between the two shots that I edited. I increased the darkness a little, took the redness out of the shot a little bit. And it's a little clearer from what this, you can only do so much, right? There's a saying, you can only polish a turd so much. So this is a good example of helping out, making a photo much nicer in what the options you have to use your editing right on your phone for your photos, which is super, super nice. So this has been some basic phone photo editing using a Samsung phone and the default phone editing apps, the photo editing apps that are directly in your gallery for your Samsung devices. And make sure anytime that you are using a Samsung device or any kind of Android, you really do need to update. And I understand a lot of people are like, but then it changes things. I know it does. Everybody has to deal with that. But it does give you enhanced options, better options, and things that work well, work better because they have been updated. I understand that sometimes things change and it's not the best change, but definitely updating your phone regularly will allow it to be functioning as good as it can function and allows you to have access to greater improvements to some of these photo apps because they add new AI driven solutions all the time. A lot of these were added just in the last couple of years for these options to edit your own photos. So I highly recommend you update when you get the moment. See, so I did this update needed to come when I turned on this phone because this is a separate phone I use for videography. And so I turned it on and said I need to update. Well, you don't need to update right when you use the phone, but you got to make sure you update when you use the phone. This is the end of our live stream today. So I'm going to install now. So that is what you're going to do. And it says getting ready to restart your phone. It might take some time. Okay. So definitely update your phone in the process of this. I'm glad that you joined me. If you were able to join me, looking forward to hearing more from you at some other time. If you have an interest in learning more about how to use your phone or other tech for God's glory, how to better use your phone, your technology for God's glory and or for work and for personal use, stay tuned. I will be doing this regularly to show you how you can better use your technology in order to make your life better, and so or enhance the opportunities you have for ministry or work. So definitely stay tuned. You're going to be seeing new updates from me on my website as well. I'm going to be redoing my website so that it gives you opportunities for tech. If you kind of saw our live stream, you don't know where I put it, you'll have eventually the opportunity when I finish my website to go back to my website. You'll be able to search and find the particular thing that you're looking for on how to do things from me or from whatever I've been able to come up with to help you out with that process. So stay tuned for that. I will be happy to help you out. If you have a need, a specific problem with your Android device or with your PC, your personal computer, Windows device, contact me, reach out, DM. You can actually text me as well. I've got my text number at the top of my banner on my Facebook page. You can DM me a question anytime. I will try to help you out, figure it out. If it's a frustration you've had with an update, if there are features that you'd like to explore, let's have a conversation. I'm glad I could be of service to you today. I will see you again the next time.